Hi, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in to another episode of the Hugh Capital Podcast. You all have been rocking with me for quite a few episodes for season 3. I'm really grateful for it. I say it each and every time, and you're tired of hearing it, but I will never stop thanking you for your support. And I'm also grateful because it does seem that you all are really enjoying this partnership that I have going with Squad Trip, or I'm ultimately, kind of introducing you all to travel entrepreneurs, people who are doing really cool things with the experiences they're designing internationally in other countries, and sometimes even nationwide too, right? There's no limitations on what these individuals are doing. So I'm done chatting, and I'm really excited because I'm introducing you all to someone really amazing, a fellow public health buddy, and to all my public health folks. This is Deanna Robinson. Woo, 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 woo. So I won't go too in depth in regards to the intro. She can do it herself. But I do want to give a shout out to the fact that she does have her own retreat. It's called the Fab Body Retreat. She'll give you all some insight into like what that experience looks like. But once again, for all my travel entrepreneurs out there, just know that she has a lot to share, and I think you all can learn a lot from it. And if you don't identify as a travel entrepreneur, well, the good thing is maybe she'll have an event one day that you might just want to attend, and that might be it for you. But with that being said, Deanna, I can talk about you and brag about you, but I want you to do it yourself. Who are you?
All right, so I'm going to keep it pretty short and sweet. I am a health and wellness consultant, health and wellness specialist. I own a nonprofit, so I'm the executive director of my nonprofit. I am also a travel agent. I am a real estate agent. I am an investor. So I do a lot of things. I'm kind of a Jill of all trades, if you will.
I love that. And I'm so happy that you took the time to list all of that out because I do think that sometimes people are aware of this main thing that a person does and think that that's all that they have to them. And it's okay if that is the only thing. But I think it's also important for people to understand that there are people out there who do have travel businesses that also possess other talents and they're involved in other things. So if you do, as a listener, consider yourself to be a multi hyphenate, you're kind of learning from one right now.
That's
So
that's true. And I will say that my bread and butter is the health and wellness portion of my business, which is where the Fab Body Retreat kind of lives. So I do a lot of different things, but my focus is on health and wellness.
I love it. So before we get in depth about the Fab Body Retreat that we will spend most of our time talking about, let's actually start with that, right? Fab Body Retreat is basically a branch of this umbrella, which is your health and wellness business. Can
Mhm.
you walk everybody through what does that business offer? What is that?
Yeah, so the Fab Body Retreat is this marriage of vacation and health and wellness. And so we take about 40 to 50 women to an exotic beachfront location. The location changes every year. And we do all things health and wellness. But it's a very balanced health and wellness, which is what health and wellness is, a balanced lifestyle. And so we do yoga on the beach. We do boot camps on the beach, but we have dance parties. We have a pillow talk, which is kind of like a girl talk thing. We go on excursions. So all things health and wellness with a umbrella drink on the side.
I love that. And to be honest, I love that so much because it's unfortunate that I had to learn about you through Darian at Squad Trip, but it's fortunate that I did not go another day, another year without learning about you because I can say that that's something that my friends and I would honestly enjoy, right? For a lot of us, we know that health and wellness is important, but a lot of us are having a hard time, trying to find the inspo to
Right, right.
properly execute on that and really get in the gym, be active, maintain a healthy diet at all times, and not just these fad diets, but a lifestyle diet. So I think that for someone who may be struggling to establish that discipline, I actually feel like Fat Body Retreat is for them because this is the kickoff of entering a community of women that have similar aspirations as yours, or they're already doing it. And it's cool because you get to meet them and you can join in on that process and maybe stay consistent because you have accountability sisters.
Right, right. And even the mission of my community, Fab Body, is about not about aesthetic perfection, but just about overall progress. And so us finding that balance, especially during this retreat where, we are going to be on the beach doing yoga or doing workouts, but in the evening we may have dinner and you may have a glass of wine or some champagne, so just really finding that balance is what it's all about.
I love that. And I love that, like I said before, because I feel like I need to be there. And you mentioned that once again, like Fab Body Retreat contributes to this larger goal of health and wellness. Can you help everybody understand, like, what else are you doing outside of Fab Body Retreat to help promote that? Is it through consultancy? Like, what is it?
Yeah, so it's kind of a few things. So like I said, I have a community of women, and so right now, my online presence is one way. I am writing a children's book actually, which is about selective eaters, and so showing youth how they can eat healthier without it being yucky. And the
Yeah.
book is actually called "Ooh Yuck, I Don't Like That Stuff." I had a gym for 11 years. It was an all-female gym and actually just closed at the end of last year. Yeah, which is it's not a bad thing because
Okay.
it was something that was supposed to happen.
Oh, okay. Cool.
But yeah, so really just staying on top of my community, doing events for my community around health and wellness. And then I also do like some workplace wellness programming. So working with
Nice.
organizations to help them with their staffing and helping them do like lunchtime, health and wellness, either programming where it's maybe like, the Biggest Loser challenge or like a lunchtime workout class or, just things like that.
I am very impressed because I did not know about this gym and I did not know about this children's book. So for everybody listening, I just learned more with you. Like, I mean, Deanna she's just killing it. She just does so much. She either did so much, she's doing so much, or she's about to do even more. So I think that this is ultimately someone that you all need to follow, whether it be on her IG or wherever else. We'll have that in the description so that you can keep tracking this journey, because why would you not want to? Like, she's just doing the thing.
Yeah.
All right. So, what I want to spend some time talking about is the business, the operations of it, etc. But what I first want to dissect for everybody listening is Deanna is this woman who had a passion for health and wellness and fitness and all these great things. You went to U Maryland and you were studying kinesiology and community public health. And then you realize that with this passion that you have, you did your studies, which also resembles the passion that you have. Now it's time to really set yourself up for a career of doing this actual work. So I want to know, how did you realize it was time to take my passion for this thing and turn it into a business? What was the wake up call moment?
Well, the wake up call for me was out of college. I actually went and interviewed at a large chain gym. And I interviewed to be a personal trainer, actually. So I'm also a licensed personal trainer. And when they told me what the split was, the percentage that would go to the gym versus what I would get of personal training, I just thought it was absolutely ridiculous. And so from at that point, I decided, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. I'm going to hire trainers. I'm going to bring in, my own clientele. And I am going to create a business model where I'm able to pay trainers, what they're worth.
Yes.
And that was the turning point for me.
I love that. And then what became the first business in this space of health and wellness for Deanna?
It was the gym, opening up the gym for me. Yep.
Nice, nice. And even though I don't want to spend too much time on the gym, for anybody who's listening who maybe wants to start a gym, maybe do you want to just kind of list like a couple of things that you had to think through and get done to actually open one?
Yeah. So I opened my gym on a very shoestring budget. And honestly, it was more of a progression. So I started off, it was a boot camp. It was based on boot camp classes. And so boot camp classes are more calisthenics, so more body weight than equipment. And so I was able to open my gym with just some mats and a few pieces of equipment. And then as I started getting more people that would service my business, I would make more money. And then I could then grow the amount of equipment that I had and, like a POS system and this and that. So for me, it was, I mean, for others, it may be, getting investors and starting off big if you want to start big. But for me, it was just starting really small, showing people that they could get results, and so showing people how I was different than some of the other gyms, and then growing organically, and then being able to really grow the gym physically.
I love that. That was helpful. And I'm happy I was able to ask that question because once again, I did not know she had a gym, y'all. She surprised me too. So I had to make sure she kind of gave us some insight into that. So now that we have an idea of how you turned your passion into a business, first starting with a gym, then obviously just having this overarching business about all things health and wellness, how did you first realize it was time to start the Fab Body Retreat?
So I had actually been doing retreats probably for about maybe 5 to 7 years before I actually started the Fab Body Retreat. I did a retreat called Destination Fit Trip, which was in collaboration with 3 other wellness professionals. When we kind of ended that, I went into creating the retreat for just my local fitness community. And since I started that, so this is actually the 5-year anniversary of my retreat. And so since I started it just locally 5 years ago, now it has become something where, people from every state have been able to attend. And so it's not my local retreat anymore. But yeah, so it was something that I love to do. I love traveling. I love fitness. And I wanted to find a way to kind of merge both of them together. And I did that.
I love that. And when I think about the way pricing, right, is structured, there's so many things that go into why someone pays a certain amount for these trips. So let's say, for example, everybody, you go to the Fab Body Retreat website and you take a look at the payment plans, you might see a number that's a decent size, but when you take a look at everything you are receiving for that amount, it starts to look pretty small and you really see where the value is added there, right?
Right, right.
So what I want to understand from you, Deanna, is how are you managing these hefty payments? Because this is per person. And it's also contributing to different things that you have to pay for in order for this experience to be as fruitful as it is. So how are you managing these payments?
How am I managing the payments, or how am I coming up with?
What tools are you using? Like, is it Squad Chip? Is it something else? Like, what are you using to do this?
Okay, so yeah, so I am using Squad Chip. This is actually my first year using Squad Chip, and I've had a great experience with it so far. And other than that, since I'm a travel agent, and since it's something that I've been doing for almost 10 years now, I've been able to really maintain and build relationships with a lot of travel brands. So that's also, DMC brands, which are brands that handle like excursions, with resort brands. So I can get like pretty good rates. And my main thing is just making sure that I'm adding value. So when people pay a set price for my retreat, they go home feeling like they got their money's worth and some.
I love that. And when I think about, so let's say, for example, like I am someone who throws like networking events and I'm using something like an Eventbrite. Outside of people using it to buy a ticket to my event, I, as a business owner, can use it for retrieving data about like the people who are ultimately attending like my events. So when it comes to Squad Trip, are there other things that you can use it for outside of just like transactionally, like getting money from people? Like, what else can you use it for, or do you use it for?
So outside of payments, I use it for just getting information on each attendee, so that I can personalize my retreat a little bit more. So it allows me to ask each attendee specific questions. So if I want to give out T-shirts, I can ask them T-shirt sizes beforehand. I can ask them if they want to participate in a specific excursion or if they don't. So it really allows me to get to know my attendees so that I can make sure that I'm structuring the retreat to what everyone would want.
I actually love that because outside of this conversation about using Squad Trip, I think that's so important because you are highlighting what it means to be fully engaged with the people who are attending your events. Because as Deanna, you can sit here and brainstorm and ideate all these things in the world to give your attendees, or you can ask. It's like, well, I could just do it, but if I ask them, I'm reassuring it. I know they actually want this thing. And once it's been reassured, now in the process of trying to give it to you, we can be very exact and get your sizes. Maybe one day it's color choices, I don't know, but you are ultimately finding tools and opportunities to purposefully engage with your audience, which are your attendees. That's
Definitely.
really good.
Yep.
You smart. I think some people might think that's a marketing thing, an engagement thing, whatever the word is here for everybody listening. I think that's very important. Everybody's not thinking that way. Like constantly find ways to use the tools that you have access to re-engage everyone and really make them feel like their opinion matters and making sure they have everything that they need matters as well. So that was bomb. Awesome.
Thank you.
Now, the second thing I want to get at when it comes to the operation and business side is I was on your website and the Fab Body Retreat IG, and you had like this, I call it a carousel on it, and it basically showed us like who are either hosts for your upcoming event or prior ones. And as the founder of Fab Body Retreat, the host could just be you, but for this event, it's not. It's other people as well. So how do you select who gets to be the host of this bomb event?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I am a believer. And so the first thing for me is going to God and asking Him to bring the people that would resonate with the people that are coming or would bring a message to the people that are coming. And then my network plays into that as well. So just some of the people that I have met in my journey of health and wellness. So like Free, she's the former host of 106 and Park. She is one of our hosts this year. And she was actually my client several years ago. She was one of my personal training clients several years ago. And so my network really plays a part into it. And then just the message that I know that they would give. Each year I have a theme. And so I try to choose hosts that I know have a story kind of surrounding that theme. And then also going to God and making sure that He feels like this is someone who would resonate with the people that are attending. So
I love that breakdown. And I think that's so important because I think that having the right person or people lead an experience is a make or break for your event, right? Like you are able to use your skill in believing and really speaking to God to ensure that He is introducing you or helping you think of the right person to help you with this. And that's key because, if your audience and your attendees are not really engaging with these hosts, even though the content of it and what was planned is good, they don't resonate with that person who is speaking to them. They may say the aura is off and I don't know if I really need to be here, right? So I
Exactly.
think that's good.
Yeah.
And as a continuation to the conversation about a host, I don't look at hosting as this moment of I'm speaking at you only. Sometimes that is what it is. But sometimes a host is someone who is getting people to interact with each other. And by each other, it means like a host is literally hired by you to take this group of women and have them do something with each other. So my question to you is that a thing at your event where a host is responsible for having these attendees engage? And if so, how is that happening? What does that look like?
Yeah, so our hosts kind of have different roles. So some of the hosts host different events. So for instance, Free is hosting an event that we're having called a wellness party. And it's like a glow wellness party. And so obviously that fits her perfectly because she was the host on 106 and Park, and it's music, and so she's hosting that. But aside from that, she is going to be involved in all of the events that we have. So she'll really get to know the ladies. She'll be able to interact with them throughout. And like you said, she'll help because there's a lot of women that are coming on the retreat solo. And so she'll really be able to be there to really help the ladies, mix and mingle. We have another host who is, she is going to be our sermon leader. And so we're doing this Sunday morning sunrise service. And so she's leading that. And we have two other hosts who are speaking at our Pillow Talk event. And the Pillow Talk is basically a girls' talk. A lot of it is kind of surrounding mental health. And so they will kind of be facilitating the conversation. So to your point of not speaking at people, it's a conversation and they're just kind of facilitating the conversation. And so, yeah, so that's pretty much what our hosts do. I am the overarching host of the entire retreat. And so I am introducing all of the events and just kind of curating everything. And yeah, and that's pretty much what they do.
I like that. So you know what? I think I have a spicy question that I actually haven't asked anybody before. And I'm wondering if maybe even anyone has asked you this, but you have this criteria for how you select other hosts for certain experiences. And my question to Deanna, I want to know, what do you think your hosting style is? Like your own personal hosting style?
So I am naturally an introvert.
Mm,
Yeah, which usually doesn't make for the best hostess.
okay.
Because hostesses are normally very outgoing and, life of the party, and that's not me. But I am very good I have a very great sense of discernment. And so I really know how to and this is one of the reasons why I have several hosts, because I'm really able to step back and see what is going on, to see maybe who is kind of sitting out of the group, who's not really engaging with the group. And I can either kind of pull them in myself, or, maybe talk to one of the hosts and say, hey, I noticed so-and-so hasn't really been participating. Would you mind just kind of, really pulling them into this event? And so I think that's one of and a lot of people say, I've actually read this as well, that sometimes introverts can be great leaders because they are able to they're the quieter ones. So they're able to kind of sit back and like observe what's going on. Yeah. And so when you're able to sit back and observe, you can see, where the changes need to be made or where adjustments need to be made. And so I would say that is my hosting style.
I'm actually happy you said that, and don't think I'm corny, Deanna, but I'm gonna have to say it. Like literally, the way you said all of that just translates into this quote from Lilo and Stitch, which was a cartoon that I grew up on, and it was like Lilo would say, what was the word? Something Ohana. Ohana means family, and family means no one gets left behind. And I feel like that's kind of a motto of what you just said, because you're very inclusive, you're very observant, and you are noticing that, hey, there may be certain attendees who just aren't extroverts enough to just get up there and speak to another woman attendee. And they may need someone to actually come to them, greet them, welcome them, and kind of, pair them with someone else or ease them into a conversation with someone else and make them feel included, make them feel noticed, make them feel recognized.
Right.
So I'm happy I asked that, because you are that superpower person, right? You are this person who has realized what's wrong with being an introvert. I don't need to be all day, every day. I'm someone who, with this skill, because I consider being an introvert a skill still, right? I'm someone where, because I am this thing, I can find opportunities to help bring people together. I don't have to be a rah-rah person to do it.
Exactly.
I love that. And in opposition, I am the rah-rah.
I can tell.
I am the loudmouth rah-rah, like, hey, so I see you've been sitting there, and I don't want you just sit. Let me take you somewhere over here real quick.
Back to the balance. It takes a balance of both of those people. So
I think it's necessary.
yeah.
I think it is. So I love that you share that, because it just goes to show you don't have to be an extreme extrovert to be a great host. So you're a bomb for that. Now, the good thing is, throughout the course of this interview, we spoke about a couple of things. We spoke about one, what we just spoke about, which was hosting and selecting the proper host, the criteria for this host. We spoke about pricing in terms of how to get these payments, the fact that there are a lot of different things that goes into the pricing. We spoke about how to engage people using the same payment platforms. We spoke about turning a passion into a business. And I think we spoke about a lot of quality things that everybody can either learn from or feel the need to engage with your platform for.
Mm-hmm.
So, with that being said, everybody who's listening, we are not done. I have one more question for Deanna, but if you do want to learn more, she's actually going to share some tips for travel entrepreneurs in our next snippet episode, our little 10-minute episode. But before we get there, something I wanted to speak about with you, Deanna, is, to my knowledge, I think you just sold out on an event.
We did.
You didn't talk about that. What does that look like? How do you feel? What event is this?
This is the Fab Body Retreat.
Right.
So we it is closed and sold out, which is amazing. And it happens every year. And I just feel so blessed that so many people want to invest their resources, so time and money, with me, and they feel that what I'm producing is valuable enough to expend their resources. So
I love it. And where is it going to be?
it's in Grenada this year.
So when I told you all about these international trips, I wasn't lying. Once again, Fab Body Retreat. She could do it in the US and she probably has. But this year it's not happening here. It's happening in Grenada, the Caribbean island. Hello, Caribbean gals. I'm so extra. But yes, I had to make sure that people knew that, because once again, for everybody who has actually been listening to all of these episodes, this is a journey. People don't just wake up in the morning and say, I can just do this, right? It takes a time and overtime, excuse me, to bring life to these goals, bring life to these dreams. Her first event probably was not somewhere as extravagant as a Grenada, but it is now, and it's sold out, and something is working well for it. And what's working well is all the things that we just talked about. So I had to kind of wrap it up there, because I want you all to recognize that when we have these conversations, they're not just for no reason. It's because what you're doing, Deanna, and the skills that you have and the way you break down what you do ultimately can allow you to sell out an event around health and wellness. Having women either leave states and cities in the US or from somewhere else to get on a flight and actually go somewhere to engage with your group and you. And that's why these conversations are important. Can we agree?
I agree.
And I could tell that not only the word I agree meant it, but the smile meant it. I felt like you felt it. And that lets me know we're on the same page. I really appreciate you. I just have one final question. Are you ready for it?
I am ready.
Okay. Don't get caught off guard yet. But the question is, how do we, really you, empower the next generation of rising global citizens?
Yeah, so I think I empower the next generation just by showing them that you don't have to just do one thing. You can kind of do it all or have it all. And of course, there is, you do need to, you can't just be all over the place and not have, and not really be, what is it called? The jack of all trades, master of none. But you really can, once you get a good handle on one thing, you can really diversify your career and diversifying your income at the same time, by doing lots of different things. So the Fab Body Retreat is just one thing that I do annually. But there's lots of things that I do. Like, I'm an investor, and I run my youth nonprofit, and so you can do it all and have it all.
There's no limit, y'all. You can be whatever you want to be, and that's not a cap. That's real life, because Deanna's doing it. So I'm so extra. I can't help it. Well, Deanna, I really appreciate everything that you shared with us today. For everybody listening, I hope that you all really felt like you learned something. And once again, like, don't just leave. Tune into the next episode. There's more to know. And once again, we're going to share with you all tips on things that travel entrepreneurs need to know about to execute on right now. So thank you so much, Deanna, for your time. Thank you all for listening, and stay tuned for the next episode.